رحبوا معايا بالأستاذ ومستر جيوتي لالشنداني فايس بريزيدنت IDC. هيكون معانا دلوقتي، هيتكلم معانا عن تحليل البيانات. يا ريت يتفضل.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'd like to thank the team for giving IDC the opportunity to share with you some of the broad level trends that we see in the ICT industry across the Middle East and Africa region. My name is Jyoti Lalchandani, and I lead IDC's business across the Middle East, Turkey, and Africa region. And what I'd like to do over the next 20 minutes is to share with you insights of how we see the technology industry evolving and what are some of the key priorities and challenges that CIOs and heads of IT are experiencing across this very dynamic region. And so, if I could just, so I think first of all, I'd like to kind of share with you what is the overall opportunity for technology and telco services spending across this region. And so when you think about the broad-based landscape of the ICT industry, you can broadly kind of define this into two areas. The first one is the technology industry, the IT industry, and the other one is the telco services industry, which includes telecom, fixed and mobile voice, and data services. And as you can see here, when you combine ICT, we're looking at overall spending in this region at close to about $234 billion that's being spent on ICT technologies. And IT, which includes hardware, software, and services, represents about a $100 billion opportunity in terms of spending by CIOs and heads of IT, as well as consumers of technology like ourselves. So close to about 100 billion of that 234 billion is spent on IT, which represents roughly just over 40%, while the balance 60% of overall ICT is derived from telco services spending around fixed and mobile voice and data services. Now, when you take the IT portion and kind of drill down into the various categories, and I'll start first with the devices segment. So IT includes the device market, but it also includes enterprise IT. So I'll start first with the device market. And within devices, we can kind of categorize overall spending in four broad categories. So we've got mobile phones, which includes fixed and smartphones as well as feature phones. You've got personal computing devices like desktops, laptops, and PC monitors. Then you've got peripherals, that includes printers, copiers, MFPs, and finally the wearable devices. And so if you think about the overall opportunity, take that $100 billion of IT spending, as you can see here, about half of overall IT spending in our region comes from spending on devices primarily by consumers, but to some enterprises as well. So the mobile phone opportunity, about $30 billion, followed by PCs, about $11 billion, peripherals at about $3 billion, and wearable devices also at roughly around $3 billion. So the overall device market across this region is roughly a $50 billion opportunity in terms of overall spending. Now, when you think about it from an enterprise IT perspective, we are, of course, going through massive amounts of transformation by organizations, and I'm going to talk through what are some of the broad level trends that we see there. But if you look at the enterprise IT market, we've got enterprise infrastructure, which is your servers, your storage, your networking equipment, infrastructure as a service that's seeing a lot of demand in this region. That's growing in excess of 30% as organizations build more efficiencies in managing their infrastructure. The second category is IT services, and this includes your project-oriented services, your managed services, and again, managed services is an area we're seeing significant demand accelerate within this region as organizations look to outsource and have third-party providers kind of manage their applications and infrastructure. And finally, we look at the software market. And the software market includes system infrastructure software, applications, development, deployment tools, and software as a service and platform as a service is really the key driver of technology spending within the overall software market. We're seeing significant amount of demand as organizations move to the cloud and build more resilient application stack within the organization. So when we talk about enterprise IT, one of the key drivers that's spending, or key drivers of spending of these enterprise technologies is undoubtedly the transformation that we see organizations experiencing, leveraging these technologies to digitally transform their organization. And so in the context of digital transformation, I would like to highlight where we see digital transformation evolving. And if you think about the various phases of digital transformation, right at the start, organizations were experimenting with these digital technologies to understand how they can leverage this to transform themselves. We are currently in that second phase of digital transformation where the focus of organizations is to realize true value from those investments. But we also believe that organizations are going to take a more short-term view in terms of the payback that they expect to receive from these digital investments that they have made just around the pandemic. And so they're going to see a lot more focus on realizing true value from those digital investments. We believe we are moving to a digital business era where organizations will adopt a digital-first approach when they launch new leveraging this for better customer experience and customer engagement. There is going to be a lot of focus where technology spending and the strategy of organizations will be increasingly intertwined. The other broad dynamic that we see during this phase is over the next 3 years, we believe that the overall spending of digital technologies will drive new sets of digital revenue streams, and about 40% of the revenue of large organizations will come from digital products and digital services compared to their traditional revenue streams. So when you think about what are the 6 key priorities of CIOs and heads of IT, when we talk to CIOs across this region, there are 6 broad priorities as part of the digital transformation journey. The first one is that there's a greater focus on driving efficiencies, and this is through process automation, not just task-based automation, but end-to-end intelligent automation by leveraging technologies like AI and machine learning and RPA to build more efficiencies within the organization. The second one is to kind of build these broad-based industry ecosystem partnerships with a view to drive new sets of digital revenue streams for the organization. The third one is undoubtedly about an increased focus and emphasis on leveraging data to make better decisions for the organization. And not just make better decisions, but to actually drive new revenue streams, to create new digitally enabled products and services. The other ones are, of course, to drive more revenue from digital products, looking at enabling this hybrid work much more in the longer term. But also sustainability is now becoming an important area for many organizations that are now trying to create these digital framework of digital solutions to enable ESG outcomes for themselves, but also for their customers. So sustainability is becoming a very important topic, not just for IT, but for the broad-based C-suite across this dynamic region. So when we think about digital transformation and how that translates into the key priorities for the IT department, and as you can see here, we've got 8 key priorities that CIOs have for the IT organization. So if you're a CIO or a head of IT, I think these messages will resonate with you because we've got an increasing focus on, first of all, IT services management, which is delivering IT as a service, and so an increasing shift to the cloud on the infrastructure side, but also on the application side. The second one is to improve the skill sets. And this is critically important, not for some of these old second platform skills, but new sets of digital capabilities that organizations need to to drive and bring within the organization. That is going to become increasingly critical as organizations transform themselves. The third focus for the IT department is around IT automation. So how could we leverage technologies like AI, machine learning, automation, and build more efficiencies at the back end? There's a focus around development. So how do I have more software-led innovation using unique methodologies like DevOps or agile methodologies in order to drive even more software-led innovation at the back end of the organization. We also expecting to see new sets of KPIs that are coming on board, where organizations will develop new sets of KPIs in order to transform and digitally enable the organization. So I want to start first with some of the key areas of strategic IT capabilities. And this slide gives you a snapshot of where are some of the key priorities of CIOs across this region, enterprise and mid-sized organizations, right from security to process automation to data excellence and so on. And I want to focus on 4 or 5 of these key areas to kind of drill down and give you some perspectives of what we see. And I start first with security. And if I think about security from security hardware, which includes appliances, you've got security software and security services, the overall spending by organizations within this region is close to about $4.7 billion that's being spent on security technologies. And what's really driving spending is an increased uptake of organizations to the cloud, building the extended perimeter of cloud-based solutions, but also software as a service, and the increased uptake that we see around SaaS across this region is a major driver and contributor to increased spending on security across this region. So what's really driving this spending is really looking at areas like cloud security, areas like network security, where we're seeing increased focus for organizations. So network security, a major area of investment, cloud security, a major area of investment, a greater amount of investments in automated detection and response systems. And really, when we think about this marketplace, we expect to see a lot more, as you see competition intensify within this region, as a number of international and regional vendors are going to come into play in order to drive even more spending within security. So security continues to be a major factor contributing to building digitally resilient organizations across this region. The second area is around what we call the confluence of these 4 areas coming together, from data, analytics, AI, and automation. And if you think about the increased focus for organizations, as we see more structured and unstructured data on the cloud, at the edge, or at the core, there is a significant amount of investment that organizations are considering around leveraging the data to make more informed decisions about the business. In terms of AI, we are seeing, of course, a greater focus and shift in areas like IT optimization, for example, or moving away from task-based automation to a more end-to-end process automation or more intelligent automation, as we call it. But at the same time, we're also seeing a greater amount of investments in the confluence of all of these technologies coming together with a view to drive even more greater insight and value from the data that organizations can drive and benefit from. Now, when we talk about the focus of organizations to modernize, there is, of course, a greater emphasis on building a more resilient infrastructure. And IDC believes that the future of digital infrastructure is really kind of focused on 3 broad areas. And the first one is that we believe that these are going to be cloud-native technologies. So a lot of the future of enterprise infrastructure is going to be cloud-native. The second one is this is going to be a lot more autonomous. And so a lot of AI and machine learning built in within these enterprise-grade infrastructure stacks that we have within organizations. And thirdly, we think this is going to be ubiquitous in nature, so more pervasive in nature, either at the core or the edge or on the cloud. And when we think about the key priorities of organizations, CIOs and heads of IT are increasingly focused on having more workload mobility. Given the focus and investments on moving to the cloud, it's quite clear that we are moving into a very hybrid multi-cloud model of managing infrastructure and managing applications, where certain workloads will continue to be on-prem and some will be on the cloud and different facets of the cloud. So the key areas of investments for organizations is to manage this hybrid multi-cloud model within their organization. And cloud, we believe, is going to be an important foundation platform for organizations as they build this next level of infrastructure. And we are seeing significant amount of investments on the cloud. So in this year, the total spending on cloud services or public cloud services in this region will get close to $10 billion and will accelerate and double in size to $20 billion by 2026. So we are seeing a significant amount of investments by organizations who want to leverage the speed, the agility, and the scale in order to transform their organizations and bring out true value from their digital investments. We also think sovereignty, digital sovereignty, is going to be an important and a critical feature that will motivate organizations to decide what is their overall cloud strategy. So where does the data reside? What is my business recovery and disaster recovery initiatives and investments will be a key important area. Another key area of investments that's driving cloud is what I call the modernization of applications. And this is organizations having a lift and shift strategy to the cloud, or re-architecting or re-platforming to infrastructure as a service, replacing legacy applications to software as a service, or in fact modernizing custom development solutions, but which are cloud native. So we are seeing significant amount of investments that organizations are making to the cloud, growing in excess of 25% in terms of compound annual growth rate over the next few years. And so in order to kind of just give you a broad-based wrap-up of the session, I think this is quite clear that, as we are digitally transforming, our next stage in the journey is to how do we build a more digital business. And a digital business is where the IT strategy and the business strategy of the organizations are going to be increasingly intertwined. We believe the true value of an organization in the next 3 to 4 years is going to be driven from their digital capabilities and the digital assets. Your software code, your data, the algorithms that you have, all of that is going to truly define the value of an enterprise. The other two areas of investments is really sustainability as organizations build digital frameworks to create more ESG outcomes for themselves, but also for their customers. Customer experience journey, a lot of investments in transformation is really on enabling that customer experience journey in terms of personalized services at the back end to drive more agility and scale. Cloud is going to be that foundational platform, and organizations are going to make significant investments on the cloud, both from an infrastructure standpoint, but also software as a service, and we're going to see even more acceleration of platform as a service investments across this region. And finally, we're going to see a much more connected ecosystem of partners. A lot of the innovation that we have within our organization tended to be more internal in nature. We are going to see a much more co-innovation taking place across the enterprise, and we're also going to see a much more connected ecosystem where we are going to move away from a linear channel of approach to a much more interconnected ecosystem of partners, vendors, and customers all collaborating and co-innovating in order to drive and move to the digital business model. With that, I'd like to thank you for your time, and hopefully this has set the stage for the rest of the sessions today. Thank you.